Hello and welcome to the GT Cup. It's the second round of the GT Cup and we're here at Anglesey in North Wales, a stunning location and an undulating track full of twists and turns. For many of the drivers here, it's their first visit to Anglesey. The cars are heading out now for race one. Let's join Simon Hill for the grid.
Thanks, Gemma. Well, beautiful sunshine here at Anglesey. Greets poleman Nick Whale, just ahead of Pete Morris, Colin Simpson, Mark Stevenson, Craig Wilkins, Colin Broster, Paul Mace, George Brewster, Andy Ruhan, and Gary Eastwood in 10th on the grid. Tommy Dreelan and Tommy Carrera, 11th and 12th, Alwyn Williams, David Back, Duncan Cameron, Jeff Ledley in his first ever race, Ian Hartley, Stephen Taylor, Leon Price and Barclay Dougal in the M3 GTR. John Dillon, Lee Atkins, very quick in that BMW Z4, Bertie Carruthers, Taylor, Bothrill, Nathan and Fiona James rounds out the grid in her Ginetta G50. Great group of cars, fantastic weather, fantastic circuit, and I'm joined by a great driver, Rob Barr. You know all about sports car racing. What's this rolling start like for these guys?
Well, it's not the neatest rolling start I've ever seen, Simon, but fantastic circuit here at Anglesey and another huge grid of cars, and the circuit giving us plenty of opportunity for overtaking. Lots of long straights into tight corners, and Nick Whale already making his escape at the front of the field in an RPM Porsche.
Vastly experienced Nick Whale, of course, a former touring car driver, really enjoying racing in this championship, and he's looking very strong here at Anglesey. Not a circuit that the touring cars have visited, but certainly the GT Cup are looking like they're having a great race already.
Yes, Nick Whale safely through Rocket, up into Peel next, Simon Peel. Quite a tight right-hander, then that leads down into the corkscrew and onto the Tom Price straight. So through Peel at the moment, the circuit falls away down, and they're coming round the corkscrew now.
Looking very strong at this stage of the race is Colin Simpson. You saw the blue Marcos, easily identifiable, a fantastic piece. He's been so successful in various different forms of sports car racing, and he's looking strong at this stage of the race on lap times to edge his way towards the front of the pack. But it is Nick Whale already has got himself a little break. Very difficult to do because the cars are so evenly matched. There is some equalisation done with ballast and so on and so forth, but really it's more down to driver skill, set up and preparation of the car. And with RPM, he's got one of the top teams in sports car racing, of course, current British GT champion, so they know how to go about winning races, and almost won the Porsche Carrera Cup with Tim Harvey a few years ago, Rob.
Yes, very experienced team under the guidance of Robin Mortimer, and we saw Colin Simpson there putting Craig Wilkins under a lot of pressure. And is he by Wilkins now? No, not quite. He's still sitting behind that white Porsche. So Simpson in the blue Marcos, Williams in the white Porsche. Went into Church, he's gone for it on the inside, and he's, well, I think Wilkins left the door open there. Very gentlemanly piece of driving to let Simpson through, and he's really got the hammer down the back straight and then up into the braking area. Television doing the gradient no justice there, and Simpson almost overdoes it, giving Wilkins the chance to come back on the inside, but Wilkins making good his escape now.
Yeah, it is in fact Simpson that's just edging away from Wilkins. Wilkins now starting to put under more and more pressure himself, as we see the scrap between Tommy Dreelan in the 56 car, under a little bit of pressure there from the 35 car.
That's Andy Ruhan.
Yeah, and he's relatively inexperienced. In fact, there's a lot of guys that are making their forays into motorsport at this stage, and now Pete Morris is getting more and more pressure from Simpson.
So Simpson putting a lot of pressure on Pete Morris. Pete Very accomplished Porsche Cup racer, dabbled in British GT himself. He defends hard on the run down the back straight and coming into the final turn. Yes, he's still just defending hard from Simpson as they come past the start-finish line.
And we now look at one of the other scraps that's unfolding down the inside, a real last of the late breakers there.
That was Stephen Taylor trying to stick a move on Ian Hartley, and he's ended up losing a position into the BMW.
Yeah, Bartley Dougal in that wonderful looking M3 GTR. This is again one of the great things that we really enjoy about GT Cup. You've got this fantastic mixture. Now, what's the strengths and weaknesses of these two cars here, Rob? The Marcos and the Porsche. It looks to me like the Marcos has got the power and the Porsche has got the handling. Is that about right?
I think so. The Marcos will probably have the top-end power to get by. The Porsche's got fabulous traction with the engine being out over the rear wheels, but look at Simpson streaks away in a straight line and riding on board now with Lee Atkins in that beautiful Z4 BMW, meticulously prepared and being driven fabulously as well. I know you're a big fan of Lee Atkins, Si.
Yeah, he's been very quick. He, of course, won the Radical Championship with Phil Quaife of the Quaife Gearbox family fame. He's an absolutely brilliant scrap with John Taylor, the two of them. Well, again, this is a classic case where you can see mixture of driver experience, different specs of car, different levels of experience and expertise. That really is starting to average this all out, and that's what makes the racing so close. And as you said earlier, Rob, on a circuit like Anglesey, you've got straights, you've got fast corners, you've got tight corners, you've got a little bit of everything, which keeps everybody busy. Ian Hartley in front of the scrap there that's continuing on with Stephen Taylor. They're trying to go the long way round, but not quite getting it stopped, Rob.
No, Stephen Taylor, he went for the move, he got a point for trying and got very good drive out on the exit. I think that Ferrari's probably got slightly more power than the BMW, but oh, that's our leader. That's Nick Whale. He's slowing coming out of church.
Well, he does look like he's in some sort of fairly major trouble, whatever that is. It's obviously causing him a huge problem, and it looks like that's going to result in a visit to the pits, and that's going to hand the initiative to one of the other guys here in the front. Mark Stevenson in the 73 car there, putting more and more pressure on George Brewster, one of the many Scottish drivers that are enjoying racing in this category. Apex Tubulars, Jim Giddy's company, very, very successful in the oil industry. A lot of these guys are based up in the Aberdeen area. Stevenson, he's done a bit of Porsche Carrera Cup, pretty experienced guy, and you can hear down through the gears, bit of a clunk as they go down the gears. You have to give them a real big blip when you're changing down in these cars, don't you, Rob?
Certainly do, bringing the engine revs up to match the speed of the wheels, and these two guys are absolutely side by side. This is almost touring car style racing in these big Porsches. Atkins makes the move. Remember, he's not even in the same class as that Porsche, so he's really mixing it with the big boys.
Yeah, John Taylor in a Class 2 car, Lee Atkins in a Class 3 car. As you can see, you mentioned RPM Motorsport earlier there. They're going to be working hard to try to find out what the problem is with Nick Whale's car, but whatever it is, it does look like it's going to cause him to retire fairly early. As you see Duncan Cameron in the 20 Ferrari right on board with Duncan, having a scrap with Jeff Ledley, and that's Jeff's first race we were saying earlier.
Certainly is. Jeff, very, very experienced track day driver. He's in the 430 on the right-hand side with the yellow stripes. Duncan Cameron coming through on the inside in the 360 with the rear wing, and Jeff immediately attacking back there. Great stuff from both these drivers, and Jeff probably punching above his weight in his first race.
Yeah, well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Certainly look like him. Look again at Tommy Dreelan, and he's another of the lads that's come down from Scotland, and he's having a great scrap with the other Tommy Carrera in a Ferrari, or Ferrari versus Porsche. That's one of the great sports car battles. Barclay Dougal, well, he's all that wonderful aerodynamic appendages on the car there. Didn't really keep him on the road though that time, Rob.
No. As soon as you get on the grass, although the cars have got big slick tyres, there's no grip at all, as we see Stephen Taylor, last of the late breakers, coming down into the hairpin, and he's made it round that lap. So much better, much more accurate stuff there from Taylor.
Another Porsche involved there, David Bottrell in the little 944, as we go back to watching Wilkins having a fairly lonely run in third position. Very versatile driver, Rob, isn't he?
Certainly is, though. Versatile driver, racing a Dodge Viper in the British GT Championship. So front engine V10 one weekend, rear engine flat 6 the next.
That Broster trying to look to the inside of Stevenson. Although both these guys have been quick so far this season, this scrap's going to run and run. But back at the front now is Pete Morris as we start. I think this is the last lap now. He's got closer and closer to our leader, Colin Simpson. And it's Porsche versus Marcos as we go into the final part of the lap, Rob.
Yes, the tyres on the Marcos, they could be going off. These slightly longer races, when you've got a car like the Marcos, which is working its rear tyres very hard, they can go off slightly. And whether Pete Morris has been perhaps keeping his powder dry, looking after the equipment for a last push, we'll have to wait and see. They've got about, as you say, about half the lap remaining, so real battle to the checkered flag now.
Yeah, Dreelan and Carrera, this scrap's going to run and run, and just around the outside, we also saw the 88 car of Leon Price, just minding his own business, but you can see as the car snakes under the braking and they make their way out of the last turn for the last time, it is just Colin Simpson from Pete Morris who takes victory at Anglesey. A superb drive, really controlled the power ever so well there. So Simpson by just 0.6 of a second from Morris, Craig Wilkins, Mark Stevenson and Colin Broster, George Brewster, Andy Ruin, Gary Eastwood, Tommy Carrera and Tommy Dreelan round out the top 10 in classes. Class win is Simpson from Stevenson and George Brewster. Class 2, Pete Morris from Craig Wilkins and Colin Broster. And finally, in Class 3, again, it's Lee Atkins from David Botterill and Russ Nathan.
So Lee, a fantastic race and quite a few position changes there.
Yes, car number 42, I don't know the guy's name I'm afraid, but we had a fantastic battle. I must say one of the best of my racing career, so nice and clean, both of us used our mirrors. It was just fantastic racing, how it should be.
Absolutely, and battling of course with the Class 2 car.
Yes, and that's always fun.
I was trying to chase the Marcus down. His tyres were going off at the end. I needed 3 or 4 more laps, but it was cracking, and the back Marcus behaved themselves. I got the pace. Nick lost the gearbox, I believe. So yeah, I mean, it's what happens. If you're running in front, you can't go missing gears. So it's like you missed a gear, but I enjoyed it.
Colin, massive congratulations. You held Pete off really well towards the end of that race.
Well, I think it was probably more luck than skill, to be honest. It was good. It was a really good race, you know. I don't know what happened to the first car. Obviously, something went wrong, but I think he'd have been away, you know. But it was good. I mean, I pulled away from Pete, and then I knew my tyres were starting to go off, and I knew that he was just coming and coming. And I was keep watching, and I have a wee clock, and I was looking. I thought, must be this lap. No, not another one, you know. So it was good.
Well, sadly, gearbox failure is what caused Nick Whale to retire from the lead of that last race. If he can get the problem sorted, however, he can start race 2 from the back of the grid. Find out what happens right after the break. Welcome back. Joining me now is Nick Whale. Nick, you've had gearbox problems in race 1. What happened?
Well, it was a bit of a shock really, but we just lost all drive and ground to a halt, and we subsequently found out that where the drive shaft meets the gearbox there are some bolts, and these bolts had worked loose. So fortunately it's an easy to fix problem, because obviously just new bolts and away you go. So that's what the lads have done, and hopefully now we'll be in race 2 and starting from the back and aiming to finish at the front.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck for the race, and hopefully we'll see you afterwards.
Thanks very much. See you on the podium.
Well, it seems touch and go for car number 12 as these guys head out now to start race 2. 2 drivers start from the back of the grid. That's Nick Whale and Paul Mace. Here's Simon Hill.
Thanks, Gemma. Well, that was Arwin Williams we saw in a 12 car. Some problems with getting through the noise restrictions here at Anglesey, but Simpson, Morris, Wilkins, Stevenson, Broster, Brewster, Ruin, Eastwood, Carrera and Dreelan are our top 10. And Duncan Cameron, Jeff Ledley, again, only his second ever race now. David Back, Taylor, Arwin Williams was going to be starting 15th, Hartley, Carruthers, Dougal, Taylor and Lee Atkins in the little BMW Z4. Leon Price, David Botterill in the 944, Nick Whale and Paul Mace round out the grid. So again, a rolling start, bit of a different look to it. It is the winner of the race earlier today, Colin Simpson, who gets all the power from that Marcos down on the road. A lovely sunny day at Anglesey, so no traction problems that you might find on a slipperier day, but he's under big pressure from Pete Morris. And in the background there, the 31 car of Craig Wilkins is joining in the action. I think he maybe has got ahead of Morris. No, Morris has just about done it. Rob Bath, it's looking pretty exciting. Nick Whale coming from the back of the grid.
It is. We finally see that car 12 with repacked exhaust getting away from the pit lane, but he's almost lost half a lap now. So the Marcos leads, much better start now, and already we've got a battle between Pete Morris and Craig Wilkins, and Wilkins looks to the inside as they come up into the top section of the circuit through Rocket, and our leader spins, Simon.
Oh, well, that was most uncharacteristic from the experienced Colin Simpson, and all that hard work in winning race one. He nearly got collected. Cameron there, just tapping into the back of what I think was maybe Tommy Drilling there. And really, you can see 18 car of Nick Whale coming from the back. Now, he's in a 2008 Porsche Carrera Cup spec car, isn't he, Rob?
We're going to have to wait and see how far up the grid he gets. Remember, he's starting from the back. He's got a very light car because he didn't finish the last race, Simon. No success ballast on this portion. Oh, man, look at him go. He's absolutely flying down the Tom Price straight.
You can see that acceleration is really the key there, isn't it, with losing that ballast or not having ballast on. Just gives you that extra bit of punch. When you've got a lot of ballast on, it's like having somebody in the passenger seat. But there you can see it's very much a solo drive, and he's doing a great job. As you see, the 55 car coming in. It's Gary Eastwood retiring. You can see quite what the problem was from that stage. But this scrap between these three Porsches is going on. Wilkins and Morris are falling over each other in the background. Colin Broster is loving all this. He's thinking, I'm going to have some of this in a moment.
Certainly is. Real battle of the heavyweights at the front here. Two very, very experienced Porsche drivers at it. Hammer and tongs.
Does look like, though, it is Morris now under increasing pressure one way and then the other goes Colin Brostwell. Again, lots and lots of experience with throughout the pack here, and it's great to see the mixture of these experienced guys and some of the guys like Jeff Ledley that we talked about earlier on, Rob, who are literally starting their motor racing career, and not gone are the days when you used to start off in something simple. Now you're starting in these great powerful sports cars. As you see, punching through there, Nick Whale, just another place done.
Yeah, dispatches Stephen Taylor, no problem at all. And oh, the Marcos having all manner of trouble in this race. He was off at Rocket there, so this cutting back to the battle at the front, though. That's Wilkins still leading from Pete Morris. Down in the paddock earlier, I did see that Pete Morris has stuck a sticker saying loser on the back of Wilkins' car. It's ironic, Simon, he's now got a face full of it.
It's going to be something that's like a red rag to a bull to a guy like that, isn't it? Well, in the background, Roster's just falling all over this scrap, and these cars all seem very, very evenly matched. Now, Lee Atkins, he's been a star so far this season in the GT Cup. That little BMW Z4 really looking like it handles absolutely superb in a superb manner, and powered by Portsmouth Football Club, the big supporters we heard here on. There's Pompey Power pushing him forwards.
He's in a carbon copy battle as he was in race one, and that's Nick Whale picking up another place. So Nick, he's up into what looks like about fourth or fifth now from the back of the grid.
Outstanding stuff there. Well, the 40 car of Paul Mason, another guy had to start the back, putting pressure on the 20 of Duncan Cameron, and that's again Simpson. Well, this time it looks pretty terminal. He's out of the car, and I wonder if there's been a problem that was evident from the beginning of the race, because it's certainly uncharacteristic the drivers have. But look at Nick Whale. Already Nick Whale is on the back of this battle now. As you said, he worked his way up to fourth position, and look at the power as he punches out of the corner. Just makes mincemeat of Broster's car.
So from the back of the grid, Nick Whale now P3 safely around the outside. Oh no, still P4, but he's got a great line for the pit straight here. I'm sure he'll be up the inside, yes, so up into P3 and on the bottom step of the podium already.
It looks like a Porsche Carrera Cup race of mixtures of 996, 997, older spec and the new spec cars. It's a great testament to the versatility of these drivers driving these very challenging cars. They're always known as a real driver's car, with the engine, as you said earlier, hanging right way over the rear of the car. The flat 6, 3.6 litre engine that most of these guys run. Some of them have modified them a little bit, but Morris, well, he's modifying his driving style now to try and hold off hold off Nick Whale, and he's got a mirror full of Whale with the wonderful scenery here at Anglesey. It's probably an appropriate thing to see in the mirrors, isn't it, a Whale?
So Pete Morris making his Porsche as wide as he possibly can to stop the progress of Nick Whale.
Again, you see Cameron now under pressure from Paul Mace. Well, Mace, another very experienced driver, has raced it in the Porsche Carrera Cup, and down the inside there, look at his Broster getting past Morris, because Morris has been passed by Whale, who in turn is putting pressure on Wilkins.
Nick Whale P2, oh, 44 off.
Yeah, big spin there for the 44 car of George Brewster, one of the Scotsmen racing here. And Whale now looks like he's made his way all the way to the very front, Rob.
He has. He's done the impossible and come up from the back of the grid. He has been helped by that lack of success ballast, but I'm taking nothing away from Nick Whale to come from the back of the grid round here in such a car that's a handful to drive. Great job this afternoon from him.
David back in one of the Ferraris, putting pressure now on Andy Ruin. Those cars are very really damage on the tail section of Back's car there. Just a bit too close a racing has been going, and you saw there one of the cars coming through with the novice cross on the back. Great thing to see, sports car racing that novices can do. Fantastic stuff.
certainly is that novice cross, denoting that the cars have only done like maybe 6 or 8 races, and those two cars are very, very close. Didn't see any contact between them, but you couldn't have slid a credit card through there, I don't think, Simon.
I think a credit card's going to be what's needed at the end of this race to pay for that damage, because they don't come cheap, these bits and pieces. But the racing is absolutely superb, and Broster now ahead of Morris, and that means that this scrap is going to go on and on. But Morris is coming back. Broster's having to defend, and as they brake hard, it's just about going to be, I think, Broster just edging Morris back, and this race is going to run and run. But Morris again gets good drive. He's really good out that corner there.
Yes, he took advantage of the banking and got great drive on the way out and safely through before he even got to church. So looking back now from Pete Morris, he's got...
Oh, contact there as he went past Botterill, Rob. Sorry to interrupt. Well, they obviously were squeezing through. He was so busy trying to get back on the racing line to ensure that he kept Broster back, that he squeezed into poor old David Botterill, who probably, quite literally, didn't know what had hit him.
And coming up to that same section as well, now we see 2 Ferraris. That's Duncan Cameron on the inside. He's going, just way too quick, way too quick. And didn't even make the corner. Good piece of driving there from Tommy Carrera to stay out of his way.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's known in the trade as a Ron Hopeful, isn't it? And no hope now, unfortunately, for Broster as they come into what looks like the last lap now for Nick Whale. What an absolutely outstanding drive. As you said, although he has no ballast on the car, very slow-moving Andy Ruin there on the left. Botterill has survived that contact, but an outstanding performance. We thought Nick Whale was going to be a contender, but we didn't expect him to do this. Great drive from Whale. Great job by Team RPN to get him back into the race. Outstanding stuff as we see the 31 car back its crossing line just ahead of Pete Morris. And as ever, GT Cup provides some superb racing, thrilling overtaking, a mixture of Porsches, Ferraris, Marcuses, BMWs and everything you want to see. It is Whale who wins by just over 16 seconds in the end from Wilkins. Morris, Stevenson back, Carrera, Tommy Dreelan, Stephen Taylor, Jeff Ledley. What a great result for him, and Arwin Williams in the top 10. Class 1 though, it was clearly Nick Whale from Mark Stevenson and then Tommy Dreelan. Class 2, Craig Wilkins, Pete Morris and David Back. And finally in Class 3, it was Lee Atkins once again from David Botterill and Russ Nathan in 3rd.
Lee, you must be exhausted. 2 great races and 2 class wins.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic day actually, and the best thing about it is we've had some really good clean racing, so that's the bit I've enjoyed.
Craig, a blinding race from you and quite a difficult race by the looks of it.
That was hard work. I'm driving, I think, one of only 2 or 3 Standard Cup cars. So certain parts of the circuit, I'm a fair bit quicker. Any of the twisty bits, they're all over me. So it was quite entertaining anyway. I certainly enjoyed that.
Nick, blinding race. You weren't even sure if you'd get out, and you've worked your way all the way up through to the front and pulled out a huge lead.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, I didn't realise. I was just head down, focused, and going for it and passing cars and trying to make a clean job of it. And it was just fantastic to come through.
So, Mark, the end of the second round, how are you feeling?
I'm really, really happy. That was a fantastic race. Really exciting. The success ballast is working really, really well to give us some good mixed results. We're doing some work with Ferrari to try and get some of their guys at the front, and we're working with some more Class 1 cars to get them up the front, but battling all through the grid, and just so many smiles on competitors' faces, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Well, it's been a glorious day here with some close and competitive racing, I'm sure you'll agree. That's it though, sadly, from here at Anglesey. We'll see you next time from Alton Park.